I did see something else coming on Wednesday. Yes, we are going to talk about that, but I thought we should talk about WrestleMania at least to start. We opened the show with Triple H welcoming us to a new era. This is indeed the first WrestleMania without Vince McMahon. And believe it or not, his trainer actually posted on social media, he being Vince McMahon's, about how sad it is that this is the first WrestleMania without Vince McMahon. That in and of itself is still a weird sentence, is it not?
It sure is. It's hard, but it was so cool on Friday, to see Shane in the audience, Stephanie there. I'm very happy to see that. But yeah, it does feel strange. And those, Hall of Fame pictures that you get once you get inducted to the Hall of Fame, it's part of the package that they send you home with eventually. No Vince McMahon in those pictures. It is weird, man. It's still settling in many ways.
It was weird even in the Bray Wyatt documentary that just got released over the last week or so. I had a chance to catch up and watch that, and boy, Vince McMahon's not in there either. Even the little puppet, it's like it never happened. It's kind of surreal.
I wonder why. I mean, it does. I kind of understand it, but does it really matter? Is it really that necessary to erase people like that? Even Chris Benoit. I mean, I get it. Horrible thing happened, and people died, and it was about as horrible as it can get. But does erasing that history make it any better? I'm just not a big fan of erasing history of any kind. I don't think it serves a real purpose. I don't know. Just don't. What do you think? Is it necessary?
I think they're all just trying to protect the stock price right now. I think, eventually when this is all settled, the legal wranglings are settled and justice is served, whatever that may look like, I think eventually they'll warm back up to that idea. I think right now everybody's being careful not to celebrate Vince McMahon. I think you can acknowledge him without celebrating him. And I think that's the double-edged sword that everybody's sort of carrying for now.
That makes sense.
They continually showed the weather, and people who sat in the crowd. I was not in the crowd, but I've heard from people who were in the crowd. They were stone cold frozen on Saturday night, and that's the reason they were so quiet. A day and night difference between the crowd vibe and feel, and a lot of that was based on the weather. We saw a wind chill in the high 40s, and guys are running around in their underwear wrestling. We saw this a few years ago, WrestleMania 29. I guess it was 11 years ago. When are we going to learn and stop having WrestleManias in the Northeast in the winter?
No shit, right? Outside in the Northeast, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. What do you do? What if it's pouring down rain? What do you do?
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago. They had like a tarp over the ring, and it started to just fill with water, and you were just waiting on that thing to spring a leak. But yeah, I mean, listen, I guess it's not going to be an issue in the very near future, but it sort of still shocks me that this is like a surprise. I mean, when I was asked on more than one occasion, "Are you going to WrestleMania?" I'm like, "In Philadelphia, outside." I mean, it's subject to snow. It's Philly.
Like a week ago, there was a blizzard.
Yes,
in that area. I mean, a week ago. It's threading the needle a little close.
And they got earthquakes in New York now. I'm gonna stay my happy ass in the South.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason now to go to New York. You throw in an earthquake on top of the rest of the shit show that's going on there.
Wow,
no reason to go to New York.
Let's talk about the first match on the show. It was Becky Lynch, the man, and she was challenging against Rhea Ripley, who has just been probably the most breakout performer of this era of WWE on the ladies side. I mean, just a megastar, and she won. And I got to tell you, this kind of surprised me that Rhea won. I know that she's been super hot. I know that you don't want to stop the momentum. I get we want to keep building. But I felt like a couple of weeks ago when I saw Becky doing an interview to media promoting her book, and she was critical of the stink face spot that went viral over a house show. with Rhea Ripley. When Rhea started commenting in regards to that criticism about Becky's daughter, I thought, okay, kids are involved now. This is sort of the inverse of that old baby face making a promise deal. The baby face is going to win. That was not the case. Rhea Ripley won and looked like quite a star doing it. We find out after the fact that Becky Lynch wrestled that match with strep throat. And I guess Rhea Ripley, just minutes before going through the curtain, had a full-blown panic attack of sorts. And I'm glad we're talking about these things. And I'm glad these ladies went out and had what Jordan might have called a flu game. It was super fun. What did you think?
First of all, this is news to me that Rhea had a panic attack. I think that's really interesting. I can imagine it. Wow. And Becky having strep throat, that's a lot of pressure. You're going out there knowing you're not 100%. Oh, it's the biggest show of the year. Pretty cool. Both of these ladies, I said it, when we were talking about predictions last week going into WrestleMania, this is one that I was really looking forward to because the build for these two has been so good. They've threaded the needle. They've delivered enough action and tension, all while building anticipation without overexposing the feud. Really, really, really well done. I like you. I'm surprised Rhea won. I really thought they were going to go with Becky, but Rhea and maybe it is because she is on such a roll. And if I'm not mistaken, Becky's contract is coming up soon, so that might have been a factor. Don't know. I wouldn't think so.
Where's she going?
Yeah, it's like anybody in WWE, especially at that level. It's different if you were maybe in a NXT or you've been sitting home for a long time and really haven't seen a lot of action. You might be thinking that the grass could be green. I don't know how anybody would think that. I mean, the money's greener. I get that part, but
money and schedule would be the only two reasons.
Yeah.
And creative. I mean, I say who would, but I mean, let's be real. 3 people just did. Sasha Banks, Will Ospreay, Okada. They all chose more money, lighter schedule, and maybe a little more creative freedom. But someone who's enjoyed the amount of success Becky Lynch has,
she's not going anywhere.
Hard for me to imagine.
If anything, I could see her retiring. I mean,
I don't think that'll happen. I mean, at this point, considering the breakneck pace they used to carry, Eric, when they were doing house shows on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then they would do a Monday, Tuesday. I mean, you're talking about you'd have 2 days home. And so now it's like you have 2 days gone. That's a way different ball game. And I, for one, hope she doesn't retire. I think she's
I know. So do I. I love her work. I love her character. I think she's such a pro. She carries herself so well. She's really a good representative of not just the women's division, but of WWE in general. She's a very, very much a class act. She carries herself well, interviews and out there in the media, general public. She's completely class act. I hope she doesn't retire either, but it's just, with the baby and young kids, it kind of changes your outlook on things. So,
but here's the thing:
she doesn't retire, but she probably got the bus and a nanny to help take care of the kid and travel around the world together. That's awesome too.
I was going to say, she and Seth have the bus and they're making towns together. So if anything, her being on the road is keeping the family together.
That makes sense.
Let's talk about the match itself, though. They had a barn burner, 17 minutes and 9 seconds before we clicked record last week. You were sort of saying, or actually on the show, not before. You didn't know if you would start with Becky and Rhea. You felt like maybe that wasn't the right way to start. That is the way they started. I thought it was fantastic. And then we got going with a crazy tag team ladder match. And when I say crazy, it was pretty wild. We would see A-Town Down Under, which is Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and Awesome Truth, which is R-Truth and The Miz, split up the tag belts. So, Eric, this was more than we expected. We had not one set of the tag belts up there, but 2. So we were going to sort of split the unified tag team titles. And somebody's going to be the Raw Tag Team Champion, and somebody's going to be the SmackDown Tag Team Champion. But it will no longer be the Judgment Day. DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were out there doing their best DX impression. New Day was Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They were in there, and the New Catch Republic made a big WrestleMania debut. It's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. But 17 minutes and 21 seconds later, two 17-minute matches back to back. R-Truth got a WrestleMania moment, and I, for one, am here for it.
That may be, aside from Cody finishing the story and family all being there for it, I don't think that there's going to be a feel-good moment that'll top that. But this has to be close. How many people love R-Truth?
Yes.
I mean, he's just such a cool guy and an amazing athlete. I don't know how old he is, but he's up there. And to be able to continue to perform the way he does, he's such an entertaining guy. Love to see this. Love to see it.